Welcome to Shady Cheryl's YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Help a bitch go to the fucking moon. Thank you. We're gonna vibe out today. It's gonna be a quick, fast, and a hurry. I'm still gonna do Mid-Havens, the rest of the Mid-Havens. So like another Aries one, we're gonna do Taurus, Mid-Haven, Rising, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Gemini, so forth and so forth. But until then, we're going to give you a little bit of marathon. You know how celebrities is our chart to go to. Leos themselves. Oh, shit, I just got myself dirty. But anyways, let's get right to it. So I got a couple celebrities who had a very interesting jobs before they hit famous. So also I'm collecting information for all of us in regards to jobs that are interesting. So if you're on my Instagram, please DM me and tell me what job you do. Help the community figure out what job they can do as well. So let's begin. Let's get started. So first runner-up, I got Christopher Walken. He was a lion tamer. Around 16 years old, he worked at a local restaurant, grocery store, and then he worked in the circus as a lion tamer. That was pretty fucking cool. And he learned to do tricks on that animal. So let's go look at that. I got Steve. No, let's do Terry. I think I closed it out. Let's just Google it real quick. And thank you for our handy dandy. Christopher Walken. There we go. I'm going to Astro Seek. And we're just going to see what they got in there. Okay. So look, we don't have a time of birth, but that's great. We don't need it. I'm going to show you a couple things that will still determine this. So if you don't have a time of birth or you just don't know anything about the houses, right? Whatever. You put your sun in the first house and then you read it as if these are the houses. So for instance, this is the first house, sun in Aries. The second house would be Taurus placement. The third house would be the Gemini placement, Cancer. Fourth house, fifth house, Leo. And so forth and so forth. Like he doesn't have any sixth house placement because he has no Virgo or Scorpio or Sag or Capricorn. Or even Pisces. So what does indicate to me working with a interesting animal? So first thing, they said that he worked as a local restaurant or the grocery store. I like this. The Saturn in Gemini rules neighborhood. This is the third sign away from his sun, which is also this Saturn and this Uranus in Gemini is both ruled by Mercury. Which is conjoined his sun, which means his sun wants to fulfill that purpose, that dream. So for instance, Saturn would be hard labor, hard work, for instance, or jobs that make him think or do things with his hands, right? So something with mind stuff, right? Or something with his hand. So for instance, he worked at a local restaurant and local grocery store, which is a neighborhood job. And then he got a job taming a lion, which interesting enough, we got his Saturn and Pluto in sextile, and then they sextile all the sun. So for instance, another thing that a large animal is really Sagittarius, which is Jupiter's energy. So it's interesting to me that Saturn ruling Gemini and Uranus, unexpected weird events like this, is the ruler of his moon and Mars. So this Saturn controls his Mars, right? So for instance, every time I see somebody working with lions or large cats like that, they're always going to have some Leo placements, and they're also going to have some really cool Jupiter aspects or placements. So for instance, Jupiter is conjoined Lilith, which also kind of brings that unexpected something about control, because Lilith is about control, but not getting controlled by things, because that's what Lilith did. She got out of the control of Adam and God, right? So just think about it in that aspect. So for instance, he has it in Cancer. That's exalted. That is ruled by this moon and Mars thing. So this is being able to use your body very well, or because Mars rules momentum, and the moon, no matter what, does bring artifacts of your body, because the moon is an emotional energy, but it does rule the flesh. The fourth house is the body when we pass away. So things to keep in mind. Anyways, I like simple stuff though. We got the sun in a Saturn degree conjoined Chiron, which is kind of like a Virgo energy of fixing things, and is also conjoined Pluto by sign as well. So what does that mean? Whenever the North Node is combined any other planet, these people tend to also really are obsessed with this other planet, which is Pluto, is all about control, especially Leo controlling said animal, for instance, or maybe he got a lucky break. He was able to take something. Pluto is taking away something at 4 degrees from someone else. Maybe he took. We don't know his story. I don't know the story. Maybe you can let us know in the chat. Bring us into that light. But from what we know, he was able to tame that. He said was owned by Mantaro. It was one big 10. He was the lion tamer. He told when he would be finished with that, there would be one lion left, and I would go in and have to do tricks with this lion. So I thought that was pretty cool. Which is just little gems to drop by. So again, Jupiter rules large animals. The North Node next to a planet, it's also quite obsessive with this. Leo energy kind of brings lions and cats and felines. Uranus is also co-ruler of the North Node. It's a Vedic astrology thing. So yeah, these are pretty interesting things that I saw. He's like one of a kind. Anyways, thank you, Christopher Walken. Let's go on to who do we have next? Do I have Margaret says she made sandwiches. Now, I'm going to look this up for people that are in the food industry, and let's see what comes up with her chart. I didn't really pull up her chart, so maybe we could do this as quickly as possible. Let's see. She has an astro. Okay now. That's me trying to put let's change that song, because that song is trash, my friends. Now we're here. This is whatever her name is. Hey, she's a Cancer rising. Now I'm interested. What is her name again? Her name is Margaret Robbie. Yeah. So she says she worked at a food industry. What is it? While on episode Hot One, she says she worked at the sandwich shop. I think it was really good at it though, because I would really spread everything out there. Anyways, I ain't gonna go that. You know what's funny? I actually worked at a sandwich shop, so I find that pretty interesting. So food is always going to be associated with the second house and Venus, of course, and her Venus is in Gemini. Now, it's interesting because I also did sandwich, and Gemini sandwiches are two sides, literally. I don't have a Venus in Gemini, but I do have a moon in Gemini, which I also find interesting. And here's what I say. Mars is the ruler of this. What's Jupiter? And Jupiter's in Cancer in her chart too. Yeah, which is the moon in Scorpio. Okay, so honestly, the ruler of all this energy is actually Mars, because the moon here control all these Cancer places, and the moon is in Scorpio, which is really ruled by Mars. So my theory, because I also looked it up in my chart, I want to say there was probably a Mars transit happening whenever she worked there. Maybe Mars and Leo, and it's probably why she worked at a sandwich shop. But I just want you to keep that in mind. What else can I see from here? Now, another thing, I want to say karmic loops. So, when you have a lot of Capricorn and Cancer placements, they're in a loop with each other. You want to take a real close notice at those degrees, and if you have any fixed stars on those degrees. The reason I say that, because then it'll kind of emphasize or show you what's really the karmic loop that you're in. So, for instance, her karmic loop has to deal with, one, her destiny and her partnerships, right? Because we got Saturn at a Saturn degree and Saturn in Capricorn, so it's like double whammy on Capricorn stuff, which is hard labor, actually. Capricorn jobs is not just government jobs. They're also hard labor, so that's my wrap on her. Also, Moon likes to create things, by the way. So people that have a lot of moon aspects would be in food industry as well. She does have a midhaven in the 11th house of Taurus. Also can bring up that energy of Venus up for her. Her 6th house is really work and is ruled by Jupiter. That's why I brought that Jupiter and the moon concept. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. Let's see who else we got here. So let's see. Danny DeVito said he was a hairdresser for his sister in a beauty parlor. So let's go look at Danny DeVito, right? Danny DeVito, Nicole. Man, I was ready though. See me? I was out here. We got a couple of people in here. You guys just saw who they were. Let's find it out. Danny DeVito, yeah. For another. Boom. I realize. Oh, sorry you had to hear that shit. Anyways, Danny DeVito's chart, he's a Sagittarius with Mercury and the Moon up in the rising. Pretty fucking cool. Mercury rules siblings in the charts, and the Moon also rules familiar things like family. Also on his first house, she gave him was it his first job? Let's keep reading. It's always this blah, blah, blah. He said he styled hair for 6 months before moving on to his next venture. Okay, they don't say that much. So let's see what else it says. Okay, the other part is Sagittarius is the first house, the second house is Capricorn, and the third house is also Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn. And we have a Saturn in Cancer at 10 degrees in the 7th house, which means, like I said, his sister, I guess, helped him out, started a foundation for him, which it's Moon, right? This is all ruled by Moon because Moon is the ruler of Cancer truly. So the Moon being in the first house, he was doing people's hair. So I find that pretty interesting. I wanted to bring that up there. Also, he also has Uranus and Gemini in the 6th house. He had a temporary job with his sister, which he says 6 months, which is sort of kind of like a Saturn transit. Saturn transits happen like every 7 months span, 7 year spans. So I find that also pretty fucking interesting. And Uranus happens in a 3-month span. Like, you're going to be really enthusiastic by something in 3 months, and then like after that you're going to be really bored of it. So I hope that makes sense for those that saw it. And then look, he also has Venus in Capricorn, which is also being controlled by this Saturn and K2. So both Venus and this K2 or the South Node are past life energies. Venus is Venusian, things like beauty. It's even making an aspect to up there to his 10th house, 9th house aspects, like you see that red line. So it's even like, so for instance, that Venus, this South Node, this fortune, which is opportunity, technically in the first house, is all controlled by Saturn, who's really, all of this is really in control by this one Moon up in the first house, which is next to Mercury. So it was a cycle he had to live. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense for those that are watching. I find that pretty fucking interesting. And then he has like Pluto at a foundational degree in Leo. Leo is hair. Thank you, Danny DeVito. Let's go on to the next candidate. Who do we have? Steve, whatever, Buscemi. I'm probably saying his name wrong. He was a firefighter. He returned to his firefighting roots to help search for survivors in 9/11. Wow, that's pretty interesting. He took the FDNY test around 18 years old. So let's see what I got over here. Steve. So, boom, we got Sun and Saturn together. So now Sun burns everything that's next to it. So even the smaller planets like Venus, Mercury, anything next to it by 8 to 10 degrees will be getting burned. But except Saturn. Here's the gimmick. Saturn doesn't get Mars. And what do I mean by burns? Those burns just basically, you can't really see the whole picture of the other planet because the sun or the ego gets in the way of seeing your Mars, your Venus, your Mercury. I hope that makes sense. And whatever those other planets houses rules, the sun outshines it. Except Saturn, because Saturn is the complete opposite. Saturn is cold. So it's like having a cold front and a hot front together, which makes the person like a fucking hurricane. Hope that makes sense. So when you don't have a time of birth, we start off with the sun as the first house, and whatever goes after counterclockwise, it's the following houses. So we have Capricorn, Venus. So we got a second house, third house, fourth house, no fifth house because Aries is the fifth sign, no fifth house placements. And then we have a sixth house, which is the Taurus house to his sun, which is the south. And then again, we got the 10th house for him. It would be the Virgo placements because Virgo is exactly 10 signs away from the sun. which is the moon, and the moon is the 8th house away from the sun energy, because moon rules the Cancer house, which is the 8th house to the Sagittarius of transformation, intensity. And then we have Pluto up there as well. So we don't know whether or not he would, obviously this says that, you see these lines, this just basically tells you that no matter what time he was born during that day, he would still have a moon in Virgo. Okay, so because the moon is the fast moving planet. So a couple things that I noticed. Well, first of all, besides that, we got Sun and Saturn. Saturn is a government ruled energy. Saturn sometimes could be hard work, or working for the government or corporation of system that was already built before you got there, right? So first of all, this Saturn rules is Mercury. Mercury not only rules sibling, it rules jobs as well. So just keep that in mind. Now, in this case, Saturn is also ruling his Venus as well. Even in this chart, the sixth house, the sixth sign away from the sun, is Venus ruled. So again, Saturn is controlling 2 planets already in Chiron as well. So that means he's also controlling the K2 or the South Node, because Venus is in a Saturn ruled sign, which is also ruled by Uranus. So a couple of things that I noticed. The 6th house is working for another person, especially the government. South Node being there. The South Node in Vedic astrology is actually known like Scorpionic, which is intense. Yeah, so I just wanted to break that down. Then we have Venus, right, which is Aquarius, again ruling that 6th sign away. Saturn ruled. It's also being opposed by Uranus. Uranus is this title. Remember, the 9th house away from the sun is the title that your son wants to earn or not. And being that your Uranus, he had Uranus in there, Uranus in a hot sign, which is Leo, which is a fire sign. This means that it was whatever job he was in, it was definitely for the public. It was definitely kind of intense, of course. So just things to be aware of. So I'm not going to keep going on that. I hope that makes sense. We're going to move on. I don't know how long I was on that one, but I'm monitoring myself according to the song that I have playing in the background. So let's move on. So just a couple things that I just wanted you to pay attention. I hope that made a lot of sense to you. Anyways, Terry Crews was a sketch artist, which means he knows how to draw, and he worked again for the government, especially the law. So let's look at Terry Crews. So Libra, hey, rules the law. So let's start off with our same pattern. We got Sun in the rising, which is Leo energy, and it's next to Venus, which means this soul wants to complete the Venusian houses. So for instance, or the Venusian energy, he has no Taurus placement. Does he? No Taurus placement, but he does have a Libra placement, which is actually 3 signs away from his sun in Leo. 3, so that means the 3rd house Venus energy activates, which is Venusian. 3rd house rules hands, like drawing. Just things that I want to point it out for you. And he even has Venus at 18 degrees, which is like not only is like a negative degree, but it does rule work or hard work or the your efficiency in work. And that means, for instance, like he has Virgo placements. And those Virgo placements are about Jupiter and Uranus, which is kind of like a different kind of job. Again, it's like this is a natural born talent, or maybe he took classes where he taught himself how to draw. You know, especially because look, we got a Libra ruled degree activating that 3rd house again. Jupiter degree about learning, self-taught, you know. Why would it be government? Now we got a Saturn and Rahu, or the North Node, together. A lot of the times, especially if Saturn is in a good house, in a very, in the upper horizon, or at least 10 signs or 9 to 10 signs away from the sun, this will kind of indicate you working at a good government job, if that makes sense. Even if you don't have it far away, you could have Saturn placed in a good, like I said, in a good house, and it will still lead you to a government structured, high-ranking job. So, for instance, the Saturn is 9 houses away with the North Node, which is basically he was there to sketch artists, like, to draw. I think that's pretty cool. And then Neptune kind of also brings drawing stuff because it's like a Pisces-ruled planet. And because you can see Neptune is kind of like making heavy aspects to interesting planets that he has in his chart, like Mars and Mercury, like doing things with his hand, being skillful. So just things to be aware. He's pretty cool, right? That was pretty cool. So he got an artistic. So let's go into Gabby, maybe. Oh, I don't know if I just closed Terry. Let's see. What's her name? Do I have Gabby? Yep, I do have Gabby. So Gabby once worked as a phone sex operator, which is cool because you could let's see if we can see that. Okay, so first of all, she is a Taurus. Taurus rules the voice. So that's pretty interesting, which means her voice sounds desirable. So other people especially. So for instance, then you have Mars and then you have Mercury. Mercury, so since she has a Taurus sun, this is the first house. The second house, which is the voice, is Gemini. As you can see, her sun wants to fulfill that mercurial thing, which would be the Gemini and Virgo placement. She doesn't have any Virgo, but she does have Venus and the North Node in a conjunction, which she makes money off her voice. Venus rules the voice. That's awesome. Like, that makes so much fucking sense. We don't even need to keep going any further. Plus, she has a moon in Pisces, so she could sell people a dream. And it's at 2 degrees, which is, again, her voice. You feel me? So I find that pretty cool. And she did it at 21 years old, which means she has a good 10th house. That makes sense. Thank you so much, Gabby. We're going to close that one up. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Nicole Kidman was once a massage therapist. Mother of 3, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She still loves giving people massages. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's see. Again, same process. We got a sun in at 29 degrees, Gemini. Okay. We have, so to give massages, to me, that is a self-care thing, which is interesting because Taurus is in there. Taurus is, like, to me, high exalted self-care. It's also, she's the one doing it, which means she has to have good hands. And again, we have Venus and Jupiter 3 houses away. So sun 3 houses away, which means this is what her sun, especially when you have a Gemini placements, your Leo house is the most important because the way you talk or do your hands is your highlights. So I hope that makes sense. And then, for instance, the 6th house is like a house of service. So the 6th sign away from Gemini sun is the South Node and Neptune, which is being able to relax and dissolve things. 12th house, like a 12th house energy, which is a Neptune thing, to be able to take care of someone. And even she's a full moon, which means her sun is focused on some type of nurturing, even to the flesh, to the body. I think that's pretty fucking cool, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. So she hits all the marks. The service house, the 3rd house of massages, 12th house energy of being able to help people unwind. So I hope that makes sense, Let's go on to the next one. So we have, let's see. Hang on, we're gonna go on to the next one. We're keeping track of time. Hugh Jackman used to work as a party clown and a physical education teacher, aka a gym teacher. So let's see what that looks like. Okay. Hugh Jackman. Okay, wow, look at this chart. That's pretty interesting. We have a Saturn and the North Node together. But this time is opposing itself. So it's interesting because that means, like, let's think about the sun as the first house. The sun, vitality, the health, is being opposed by Saturn, which means there's a structure to his body. Which is funny because I think he played a movie where he had to, like, get a lot of, like, weight or something, or be very buff, and he was able to do it in a quite interesting amount of time. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Again, we have Jupiter and Mars together. Whenever I see Mars and Jupiter together, these people are fun, lively. These people like to be in like groups of people, especially when you have Uranus nearby. Like his Uranus is next to the South Node, which means being in the groups of people. But that Jupiter and Mars, like sports, things that are fast. They enjoy fast moving things. So like being a gym teacher. And again, it's health. So it's like helping kids with their fitness, to be healthy, I guess. And mind you, again, he has a Gemini placement and he's a Libra sun. So whenever this combination happens, remember Gemini is the 9th house away from the sun. So gaining a notoriety or a title, which is like being a gym teacher. You know what I mean? So another thing they said was, he worked as a party clown. Would that technically be the Aquarius house? So he's an Aquarius rising, technically. And this is Saturn is in the 3rd house of skills, which would mean like he probably went through a lot of different jobs. We don't know that yet. Hang on. Okay, so, and then even like Gemini is the 5th placement away from his rising, which is like a service he provided. Lilith, I think, is the reason why clowns, like that unexpected fun thing that comes around. So, and then we have Neptune and and Venus together, which I sometimes when I see this, the person has a good disguise or they're good at disguising something. Like even Nicole Kidman, she had Neptune in the North Node. She plays good disguises because she made me believe she was British, but the bitch ain't British. Sorry, no offense to you, Nicole Kidman. But people that have Neptune next to another planet, they're very good at being in a disguise. So I hope that makes sense on that one. Let's do another one. See how much can we get before we hit the 30-minute mark. All right. This guy, John Hamm, worked as a porno. Do I have him? No, I do not. I do not have John Hamm. Let's do somebody cool that we actually know. Okay, so Whoopi Goldberg, I actually know a family member who also does beautician at a morgue. So let's look at her chart. So again, she has the sun, Saturn, and the moon all in Scorpio with Mercury. So we got sun, Saturn, moon, and Mercury all in Scorpio, which means her sun wants to fulfill the moon house, the Mercury house, the Saturn houses. Another thing is, she has 8th house placement. So death, morgues, people of those natures is always going to be the 8th house. And again, she has Mars and Neptune. She helps them get a disguise because she put makeup on, which Mars rules her 3rd house of skills. And it's a job that she obtained, literally. This is a job that she had where she actually did that. I thought that was pretty cool. And then she has Pluto next to Jupiter. Like Jupiter's heavily aspect here. Again, bringing why she would do more morgue stuff. And then again, Lilith is near the, I'm pretty sure that has to do with the fact that Saturn and Mercury are together in Scorpio. And then we have 8 degrees, which is death. And there's no 22 degrees, but she cuts open people, or she has to work with a dead body, And then she has the last Scorpio degree, again, dead body. I hope that makes sense. And then she has a 12 degrees, which is sometimes associated with ghost. Oh, she's pretty fucking cool. Thank you, Whippy. That was pretty good. We got 2 more minutes before we go. Well, we got 1 minute. I'm going to end it here. Or should we do another one? Let's see what Sylvester Stallone is about. She dressed as a banana. We'll come back. Another line thing. See, we got Leo placements. We have Jupiter and Neptune together with the moon. Kind of interesting. And then we have the North Node in a conjunction with another planet, which would bring that unexpectancy again. He doesn't, what's that, sun, he doesn't have Pisces placement, but he does have 6th house placement with Lilith. I think Lilith bringing the lions again. So that's pretty cool. Because the 9th house, the 6th house do rule animals as well, okay? And he cleaned this, so he was the waste man. So fixing the problem, which is an Aquarius placement. Because this is the 8th house. Oh, Saturn. Okay, which means, look, he's the Terminator, because Aquarius, which is the 8th sign away from his sun, is bringing Saturn up to the rising, which means he's the waste man. Getting rid of waste. Pretty interesting. I think I'll end it there. Yeah, I'll end it there. Thank you, guys.